Hindenburg Research made several allegations against Adani Group last year. After these allegations came out, the Adani Group shares, the value of those shares fell by a lot. And after that, an inquiry was demanded by everybody. Everybody, including the opposition parties, journalists, political observers, people who are concerned about what is going on in the country. Everybody were demanding inquiry into what Adani Group is doing. Did Adani Group really enter into stock market manipulation practices? Are they doing all that? Is this the result why Adani Group has grown so much over the years, especially in the last few years? And these were the questions people had. So they were requesting SEBI to take notice and inquire about all this. But SEBI initially was very reluctant to initiate this investigation, and after it started investigating, it said we have hit a dead end, we have nowhere to go because there is nothing much to look forward in this particular investigation. They basically said we didn't find anything wrong, but in a very convoluted words. So how Hindenburg, a research firm and a short selling company, they are able to find so many irregularities in what Adani Group is doing, and Financial Times are able to investigate Adani Group and they are able to find irregularities, but how can SEBI not find any irregularity? This was the question many people had, and Hindenburg has come up with an explanation. SEBI is not investigating into these Adani Group allegations because SEBI's chairperson, Madhabi Puri Buch, she was also investing in Adani Group shares and she was also involved in the illegal practices that Adani Group was doing. This is the reason why SEBI is reluctant to investigate Adani Group. This is the new allegation that Hindenburg Research is making. In this video, we are going to see what this Hindenburg Research new report is saying. What this report talks about Madhabi Puri Buch, her husband, Adani Group, and all other parties involved in this particular allegation and scandal. This is Youturn. I'm Ramasamy Jayaprakash. Many of you would be aware of what a stock market is, what an IPO is, what a joint stock company is, what is a public limited company, what is an IPO. All these things you would already know. But for those of you who don't know these things, here is a short intro before we get into the nitty-gritty details of what is being said in this latest edition of Hindenburg Research report. A joint stock company is basically what we know as partnership firms. Partnership, we know few people coming together and doing some kind of business. That is a partnership. We all know that. Joint stock company is similar. It works in similar principles, but there are few differences between them. One is, in a partnership firm, there could be minimum of 2 people and maximum of 20 people. Joint stock companies come in 2 parts. One is a public limited company and one is a private limited company. In a private limited company, there should be a minimum of 2 people and maximum of 50 people. More than 50 people cannot be part of a company and it cannot function as a joint stock company. So if there are more than 51 people, it becomes a public limited company. So in a public limited company, there can be a minimum of 7 people and maximum of unlimited number of people. There is no end to how many number of shareholders can there be. So in a partnership firm, these people are people who have stake in the firm are called partners. But in a joint stock company, people who have stake in the company are called shareholders. So this is the basic distinction between these two. A joint stock company, when it starts business, it gives out stocks to the public. Especially a public limited company, when it gives stocks to the public, it gives out in the form of IPO. It is called the initial public offering. The company will be established, it will be doing something, basic form of business that it will be doing, and after that, after getting required approvals and all that, it will issue shares to the public. Any people from the public can apply for the shares in this company, and once it is accepted, they will pay the required amount of money and get the required number of shares. So all the primary shareholders of the company come in the form of IPO only. After IPO has taken place, if any shareholder wants to sell his or her particular stake in the company, they'll sell in a marketplace, and that marketplace is called a stock market. And in the stock market, there are various players involved. So to regulate all this, to put out ground rules as to what can be done, what cannot be done, what is legal, what is illegal, what is conflict of interest, all these are decided by an organization called SEBI, Security Exchanges Board of India. So SEBI is the governing body that regulates everything that happens in the stock market. In addition to that, it has many other functions also. For example, mergers and acquisitions, all those things are regulated by the SEBI. So it has a long list of things that it can do and it cannot do. So this is what a SEBI is, and SEBI will have a chairperson. The current chairperson is Madhabi Puri Buch. And this is where the story begins. Back in 2023, Adani Group was accused of lot of stock market manipulations using shell companies in offshore entities. Like many of the companies that are existing in tax havens like Bermuda and Mauritius, those companies from there, they were investing in the shares of Adani Group and they were artificially inflating the price of Adani Group. In addition to that, they were also doing money laundering and they were doing a lot of illegal practices. This was the allegation that came in 2023 by the Hindenburg research. And also Financial Times also made several investigative reporting on what Adani Group was doing, and they were also making allegations against Adani Group. After that, SEBI was tasked with investigating what is going on with Adani Group shares and how, whether or not they are doing all the stock market manipulation. And they made an investigation. They formed a committee and they started investigating, and after some point they came out with a report in court. They said, we have hit a dead end, we don't have any more else to go because there is nothing more to be found, we don't find anything faulty. So basically Adani Group was about to go scot-free. This is what was happening in terms of the investigation. So this is when Hindenburg is coming out with an allegation that SEBI is giving a clean sheet for Adani Group because SEBI's chairperson also had stakes in Adani Group. SEBI's chairperson Madhabi Puri Buch was also involved in all these offshore entities. She was someone who has invested money in these offshore entities in the past. If it comes to a point where they have to investigate, she'll be investigating herself and her prior actions. That is the reason why SEBI is not taking part in any of the investigations, at least not allowing others to investigate. This is the allegation that Hindenburg is making now. So what are these investments? What Madhabi Puri Buch did? What investments she made? There are three layers of funds called Global Opportunities Fund, and underneath that there is another fund called Global Dynamics Opportunities Fund, GDOF. And below GDOF there is another fund created by GDOF, and that fund is called IPE plus 1. So in this GDOF, Vinod Adani has invested $40 million. And IPE plus fund, that was founded by a person called Anil Ahuja, who was also the director of Adani Enterprises. Before being the director of Adani Enterprises, he was the director of Adani Power. So he was a long-time Adani employee, and he was part of this IPE Plus fund. And Madhabi Puri Buch and her husband Dawal Buch invested in these funds. Mind you, these are funds that are existing in tax havens like Bermuda and Mauritius. And Madhabi Puri Buch, being the whole-time member of SEBI, and she is currently now the chairperson of SEBI. She invested in these kinds of companies in the past. It did not happen now, or it did not happen when she became the chairperson of SEBI. It happened much before that, but still it happened. In April 2017, Madhabi became the whole-time member of SEBI. And in June 2017, only in June 2017, Anil Ahuja retired from Adani Enterprises, and in the meantime, in this overlapping time of April 2017 to June 2017, Madhabi was continuing to be the whole-time member of SEBI, and Anil Ahuja was the Adani Enterprises director. So this time period has an overlap where there is conflict of interest, and there is an argument that could be made. In 22nd March of 2017, the shares owned by Madhabi Puri Buch was transferred to her husband. So only in April, after several days of this transfer taking place, Madhabi Puri Buch became the whole-time member of SEBI. So there is no conflict of interest. An argument could be made like that. But in February of 2018, Madhabi Puri Buch writes an email. She writes an email on behalf of her husband Dawal Buch, and she is doing business with GDOF and IPE Plus fund, and she wants to do a transaction in that. So, being a whole-time member of SEBI, she is doing transactions in something that she was already part of. So, all these look shady and all these need to be investigated because there appears to be a lot of conflict of interest and there could be something more to it. And mind you, again, I'm telling you, this is all offshore funds. None of this exists in India and none of this is regulated and none of this appears to have an iota of, clean money. It all has a sense of shady money and laundered money and all those things are there because these exist in tax havens. So there needs to be an investigation on these funds and on these transactions. This is the requirement from everybody, and this is the allegation that Hindenburg is making. So this is one aspect of Hindenburg Research's new report. And there are two other big issues that Hindenburg Research talks about. The second one is Agora Partners and Agora Advisory. These two companies are founded by none other than Madhabi Puri Buch. Agora Partners is a company that was established in Singapore in 2013 and it was owned, 100% of its stakes were owned by Madhabi Puri Buch. Madhabi Puri Buch became the chairperson of SEBI on 1st March 2022. But after March 16th of 2022 only, she transferred her stake in the company to her husband. There is an overlapping period of 15 days where she was also the chairperson of SEBI and also had stake in a company which she owned in Singapore. Why this is a problem? Because this particular company that she is owning need not share financial statements to SEBI, or in practically speaking, it need not share any of its financial statements in the public domain. That is the rule there. There is no rule to share their financial statements. So we don't know what is going on in Agora Partners in Singapore. And who are the clients of that particular company, how much money it is making. None of this is known to the public. We don't know anything about this because that is the nature of the company being there, being set up in a foreign country, especially in Singapore. And there is another company in the similar name that was established in India. It is called Agora Advisory. In that, 99% of the stake is still owned by Madhabi Puri Buch, and we know a little bit more about this company than the one in Singapore. In 2022, it made something like 2 crores, which is 4.4 times the amount of money that Madhabi Puri Buch would be making as a chairperson of SEBI in a year. So this is the amount of money that Agora Advisory is making from consultations that it provides to companies. What are these companies? That we don't know. And even now, Madhabi Puri Buch continues to be the owner, but she claims that this company has become dormant. But this has not become dormant. In fact, in the last 3 financial years, $300,000 is the amount of money that this particular company has made. This is the allegation when it comes to the companies owned by Madhabi Puri Buch. And this also sounds shady, looks shady, and needs to be investigated because there could be conflict of interest and it needs to be investigated. That is the aspect regarding these two companies. And then we come to the third aspect of it. The third aspect deals with Madhabi Puri Buch and her husband Dawal Buch. Blackstone is a company that deals with REITs assets class, and this REITs asset class is a new asset class, new form of investment that has come to India, and it is being pioneered and pushed forward by this particular company called Blackstone. And in April 2019, first investment or first IPO is being made by a company called Embassy, and this was facilitated by Blackstone. This is the first ever IPO for a REITs asset class in India. And after that, couple of months after that, in July 2019, Dawal Buch joins Blackstone as a senior advisor. And after this, 2 other companies went for IPO. First company is called Mindspace. It came to IPO in August 2020, and in May 2023, Nexus Select went for IPO. During these 2 IPOs, Dawal Buch was the senior advisor in Blackstone. Meanwhile, her wife was the whole-time member of SEBI, and after some time she became the chairperson of SEBI. One side the wife is part of SEBI, and on the other side husband is part of a company that is going for IPO. In December 2023, Blackstone decides to cash out all its investment in Embassy, the company called Embassy, which it first facilitated for doing the IPO. It cashed out for 7,100 crores. That is $853 million. This is the amount of money that Blackstone made with this one particular company. Why would anyone find fault in all these things? Why would anyone say there is conflict of interest? There could be something wrong in that. There could be something shady going on in all this. Why would anybody say that? Because after Madhavi Puri Butch became the chairperson of SEBI, there were 7 consultation papers regarding rates. All these, mind you, I am going to say is all about rates. 7 consultation papers, 3 consolidated updates, 2 new regulatory frameworks. All these came out after she took over as the chairperson of SEBI. In addition to this, what she does is, wherever she goes, she claims to be the cheerleader for rates asset class. She makes statements such as, this is my new favorite, rates is my new favorite, and this is something that is going to be big in the future. Like that, she makes many statements which falls just short of an investment advice. Anybody who looks at it would think like it is an investment advice, and they could actually make investments based on that. But if some statements are made, there should be also a disclosure where she has to mention that my husband is working in a company that handles rates asset class. That company is called Blackstone. So if you make investments based on my statements, my husband stands to gain. She has to give out these disclosures. Without these disclosures, she makes statement after statement praising rates asset class. If you look at it from an overall picture, her involvement with shady investment funds that are in offshore companies, that are in shell companies, in tax havens such as Bermuda and Mauritius, that needs to be investigated. Her companies, 2 companies, namely Agora Partners and Agora Advisory, these needs to be investigated, and what these companies are doing, that needs to be disclosed properly. So there seems to be an issue that also needs to be disclosed, and transparency is required. And her husband's involvement and her husband's dealings and her statements regarding rates company. So all these put together, a question arises: if Madhavi Puri Butch can do a proper investigation, do justice for the investigation into Adani Group and how they are doing their business. Because she has had close relationship with the Adani Group since at least 2015. After she became the chairperson of SEBI, Gautam Adani, the chairperson of Adani Group, he himself visits Madhavi Puri Butch in her office in SEBI. He comes and meets her. So a lot of prior history is there, lot of prior relationships are there, and she had personal stake in all these shady activities or allegedly shady activities by Adani Group. So somebody having part in all these things, how can that person make a proper investigation into these things? This is the question that Hindenburg is raising now. Even if you keep all this aside, there is an undue advantage for Adani Group, especially Gautam Adani. And this is problematic because it is very anti-competitive in nature, and it is pushing India toward duopoly. Ambani and Adani are the duopoly people who are going to control India. That is where we are heading as of now. And all this is because Adani Group has done stock market manipulation like anything, and they have artificially inflated the value of their companies. And after artificially inflating one company, for example, you have a company, that company's value is 100 crores. You are inflating it, artificially inflating it to 1000 crores. After you artificially inflate it to 1000 crores, you can pledge it with the banks. You can get loans based on this valuation. You can get another 200 or 300 crores loan and buy another company. Once you have 2 companies, a person who is an investor, he'll look at these 2 companies. Okay, this person has 2 companies now, and this seems to be the trend, and this is going to grow big because already it is so strong. So based on that, many investments will pour into this 2 companies. That will inflate the price, in addition to the artificially inflating practices like money laundering and all those things. So in addition to this, it will go up even further. With that, the company can buy 3rd company, and then the 4th company, and then the 5th. It goes on like that. If you look at Adani group of companies, that is the pattern that we can understand, because in the last 5 or 6 years Adani group has made one acquisition after another acquisition. They are buying companies left, right and center, and they keep doing it. All this is enabled by this stock market manipulation. At least that is what the allegation claims to be. It needs to be investigated for a healthy economy. It needs to be investigated for a competition to even exist, because leave the small traders, leave the small companies, small business owners. They cannot do anything. They cannot compete with the giants. Leave all that. Even a company that is big enough, like say a 500 crore company or 1000 crore company, even such companies cannot compete with the giants like Ambani and Adani. With a company like Adani doing all these manipulations and gaining undue advantage, how can these companies survive? We need more companies, more big companies. There should not be like one huge company holding everything else, owning everything. That should not be the case. We need to have a perfect market where there are large number of companies across diverse industries. We need that kind of an economy, so that there will always be a competition and no one company will have undue advantage over the other. There should be a marketplace where all companies have a level playing field, and they need not fear about another company having an undue advantage and getting suppressed by that big company. So, for all that to happen, this investigation should begin, and for that, Madhabi Puri Butch should resign. If you like this video, please subscribe to our channel, and if you want to contribute to Youturn and help us bring out more videos like this, you can scan the QR code shown on the screen, or also use the link in description and financially give your support and help us grow further. Thank you.